And we're back.
We're back. Episode 14, Hannah.
14, woohoo!
Well, like we said, we're back. We did take a break for those of you who were not looking at our social media. But
Just needed a little week to pull ourselves together and just kind of deal with life and breathe for a second.
you know, life just gets crazy sometimes. You got to take a step back.
Yeah.
And you know what? For me, it was well worth it. And I hope it was worth it for you too, Hannah.
Honestly, it was because I was fucking ready to go last week. And you were like, what do you think about taking a break this week? And I know I just told you, I was kind of bummed because I'm super stoked about my story. But I was ultimately like, yeah, you know what? I think we need it. So I really had nothing to do after that.
Oh, okay.
Like, I was like, cool, I guess I'll just wait until we record.
But hey, when was the last time that you actually had nothing to do, though?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
See, that perfect example right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't remember the last time you actually took a break and took a step back, or just did nothing for a day,
Yeah.
you need a day break or something.
Exactly.
And I know I took well advantage of it, was able to get some other stuff done, and was able to, in that time, switch to a new position.
Yeah.
So happy with that. 2 days into it.
Nice.
So much less stress.
Good, I'm glad.
I'm so happy. So, do you have anything to share with us today, Hannah? Because I know I have something to share.
I have just a couple fun little things.
Okay.
Ginger got a new toy that
Ooh,
Christian
did she?
picked out randomly when he was at the store.
Aw.
It is a Yeti, and her name is Betty. And Ginger loves her, and surprisingly has not torn her to pieces yet.
Now, that's even more shocking.
She's broken the squeaker. She broke the squeaker within about 10 minutes, but
No, that's not surprising.
she hasn't torn it to shreds. There's no fuzz stuffing from her Betty
Yet.
yet. And then let me pull it up here. Christian had a award-winning line
Oh, yeah?
earlier today, and I literally told him to stop before he continued the story because I needed to type it out. I didn't tell him this is why I was typing it out.
Oh, so he's going to learn when this episode comes out?
Wait, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Have I ever told you the story of my coleslaw encounter with my half-sister's mom, who's dead?
There's so much to unpack right there. Wait. He just flat out just said that? Oops, sorry.
Well, we were eating this morning in between my labs and my appointment, and we got on the topic of different foods and mayonnaise and stuff like that, and then that made him think of what I guess we're calling a coleslaw encounter.
Not an incident, it's an encounter.
It's an encounter.
Okay. Oh my God. Is there a story to go along with this, or is that just it? Or do I have to hear the story from him?
I think you should just ask him about the story.
When is he home?
Yeah, he'll be home for the rest of today and all of tomorrow, I think.
So he's at home right now? Mm-hmm. When he could be here listening to us?
I know, right? No, he started doing some stuff around the apartment before he left, and he's getting some curtains put up in our bedroom and all of that.
Oh, he's being a good housewife? Or there's another word for it. Never mind.
Okay.
He's being a good boyfriend?
Yes, he's been a good boyfriend.
That's good. All right.
Yeah, so those are my two little things. My other thing kind of goes along with my story, so when it's my time to tell my story, I'll throw that in there.
Okay. I wanted to share the story that a coworker sent to me through Reddit.
Oh, no.
So get ready for this wild ride. It also, because my story, it's actually multiple stories, and I'll get into why when it's my turn.
Okay.
But I fall under the morbid comedy.
Oh, okay.
Or morbid laughter.
Okay.
Your dark humor is going to be fulfilled after a couple of these stories. And maybe after this one, too. So.
Oh, what? How many do you have going on there?
I found a list of the 50 most bizarre deaths from around the world.
Oh.
And I took the 5 most interesting ones.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to do 10. I didn't want to do any more than that. What are you doing over there?
Getting into the camping stuff.
Getting into the pan?
I just saw a pan in the closet, and I assumed that meant it was camping stuff.
I mean, my camping stuff is in that closet,
Okay.
but that's that pan that you wanted me to paint purple and our logo on it, and we have just a pan with our logo on it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was that pan.
I forgot about that. Anyway.
So those are mine today.
Exists just to make noise.
I don't know why you are you putting your scent? Oh, that's right. So she's been doing this thing where she's been pawing at like everything, like putting her scent on it after the roofers have been around and everything. And they put a new skylight in my townhome. And so there was a lot of stuff, a lot of like construction debris that was in here. Good thing I brought her to my dad's house so she couldn't get into that.
Oh, yeah.
But I guarantee a lot of that, because she's been doing it a lot out there, is like putting her scent on so much stuff because it's been smelling different.
Mangy little thing.
Hey,
And I say that with all the love in the world.
Hey, everyone's got to know whose house it is. It's definitely not mine. I only pay the mortgage here.
That's it.
Only the mortgage.
Nothing else.
Ash, we gotta move you, baby. So you want me to... Okay.
Yeah, tell us these stories.
Yep. So I'm going to tell you... Well, it's just... The first one is before we get into our stuff. But I found it just... What the fuck? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're just going to read it.
Okay.
Okay, this like I said, this is a post on Reddit my friend sent me. And it goes, I recently found out why my mom would never sleep around me when I was a kid. Like she never let herself take a nap or sleep if I was awake. Or if she did, she'd lock her bedroom door. So when I was 6, I was asleep in my bed in the middle of the night when I hear a loud bang, like a pot being dropped, and coming out to the living room, I see my mom standing by the window with just this huge pile of spaghetti all over the windowsill, and the pot's on the ground. And I'm like, are you going to eat all that? And y'all, she got big mad, which I found out big mad is a Gen Z thing. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I've never heard big mad before until this.
You haven't? What rock are you living under?
Apparently, the one Patrick lives under in SpongeBob.
Apparently.
So she got really mad at him, yells at them, and chases them to their room. Then a little while later, a bunch of cops show up and ask me a bunch of random questions about my art. Like this one cop lady kept asking me to draw her a dragon, and they seemed mad as hell too. I didn't want to get arrested, so I just never asked my mom for spaghetti after that. A lesson learned. Don't ask mom for spaghetti or she'll call the damn police on you. So I have this memory in my head, and it goes unquestioned until I say it out loud for the first time in a few months. As soon as I say the words, I was like 6, my mom called the cops on me for spaghetti. My adult logic slams into place and is like, hang on. Your mother definitely did not call the police on a 6-year-old for asking for spaghetti. So obviously that's not what really went down. I call up my mom, tell her how I remember it, and on top of her figuring out why her kid was always been really cagey about spaghetti for the last 3 decades, she tells me what really happened. So on that night, a man tried breaking into our house through the front window, and it was just my mom and her kids. So she did what she felt like she had to do. She shot him in the head. He had been wearing a helmet, which landed on the floor underneath the windowsill. Now, I just want y'all to put yourselves in my mom's shoes for a minute here. This woman had just taken a human life, the trauma of that, the instant agony, the panic, the guilt, the fear, all of it hitting her at once. Her only solace, the knowledge that her kids were safe. She protected her daughters no matter the cost of her soul, and her children are safe. Then she looks up, sees her 6-year-old staring at the inside of this man's head before saying, "Are you going to eat all that?" That's what she thought was spaghetti. The pot on the floor was the helmet.
No! No! No!
Oh my God.
You got 4 more of those? I don't know if I can sit through 4 more of those.
I never said that they were like this.
Okay.
I said my five are 5 bizarre deaths that have happened. This was just a...
Okay, got it.
This was just a fucked up Reddit story that I found today that I was going to do some fun sci-fi, like what we found out in space, but I wanted that today. Yeah, that whole story didn't make sense up until the very end. I was like, oh.
Normally I make the connections, but I was like, it didn't, oh my God.
Now, if I had some more time, I probably would have like reworked some of that a little bit, because whoever typed this out on Reddit doesn't know how to type. So like all the sentence ran together, kind of like how my notes have gotten a ton better. They get a little better every week, but they're definitely a ton better than like 5 episodes ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And both of ours.
Mm-hmm. So.
Makes sense.
Wow, that was something.
And that was a lot. And that was fun. I wanted to come right out of the gate and be an agent of chaos today.
Apparently.
So you got that coin, Hannah?
Yes, I do. I think it's your turn to flip it.
Okay.
Also, I don't know why we didn't mention it, but Minnesota has become the 23rd state to legalize marijuana recreationally. And then I also found out recently that Minnesota is the 23rd state of something else, and that is of like UFO incident, like encounters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did read a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just came across it randomly, and I was like, 23 in both things. Are they connected? No, probably not, but some people might say otherwise. But I just thought that was interesting, so.
I just looked through my notes real quick. I just wanted to see if I had anything about 23 in there real quick. I'm like,
No, so.
But 23rd, yeah. Good. Way to go, Minnesota.
Way to go.
Also, school meals are now free for all children.
Yes, that too. And they're working on programs for paid sick leave and maternity and family leave for all employees.
Yeah. It's nice. Like,
so there's some good, and that's just like a fraction of what has been going through in Minnesota lately. So
I will say there's a lot of good coming out of Minnesota. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of bad, but there's a lot of places in this country that's a step in the right direction with how much shit's been going on in the world.
Minnesota's really been like stepping up and doing everything they need to do to actually be the kind of state that they want to be and that they claim to want to be. They're like actually showing the effort, which is really nice.
All right. I think it's time to flip that old coin that we got here. I can never remember. Whose heads, whose tails?
Your heads, I'm tails.
Okay, you're going first this week.
Okay.
I so bad. We do this
once a week, and then we skipped 1 week, and Austin can't remember a goddamn thing.
Hey, I'm only human, Hannah. I am one simple man.
It's fine.
Is it, though? You don't make it seem like it's fine.
I'm legally obligated as your cousin to give you shit for everything you do.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were legally obligated to not identify why you give me shit. I was like,
No, it's in my contract as a cousin.
How much do you make off that?
Not a goddamn thing.
Just out of the kindness of your heart through a contract.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so a little background about why I chose my topic. So this is now a couple weekends ago. My coworker, Olivia, hosted a murder mystery party, and you know I went to that.
Oh, that's right, you did.
And the theme of it, or like the title of it, was the Honky Tonk Homicide.
That's right. I forgot all about this, and I love.
And so I had actually invited Austin to come with me because Christian wasn't going to be able to make it, and he was going out of town.
Oh, that was over Memorial Weekend.
Yeah, it was over Memorial Day weekend. So
I was in the UP.
Yeah. So it was fine. It was super fun and everything. I had so much fun, but it was kind of like just the term honky tonk homicide was living in my head. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do a ghost town. And then I was like, well, I've been to a town that is not necessarily a ghost town, but it's an old western town that's fucking full of ghosts. And that town is Tombstone, Arizona.
Nice.
And I went to like the Birdcage Theater and everything there, did like the haunted tour. There's so many ghost stories, so I was like, I'm just gonna cover Tombstone, Arizona. So here we are.
And did you get your sugar skull tattoo while you were down in Arizona?
I did, yes.
That was at the same time?
Yeah, I got it probably a couple days after we came back up from Tombstone.
Okay.
Because we stayed in, I think it's called Bisbee, in a haunted hotel.
Ooh.
Which is about, I think, a half an hour from Tombstone. We'll be right back. The whole boom on Austin's side just came off the table entirely. So this is like a western, like an old western town. In fact, I would argue it may be like the old western town. It's got cowboys, it's got shootouts, it's got barmaids, it's got crime and lawlessness. Like, you name it, it's all there.
Ladies of the evening.
Lots of ladies of the evening.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, I'll go into the history of the town first. It's known as the town too tough to die. And that it is.
Fair, okay.
A lot of, like, the original Main Street is still standing. There's a lot of the original buildings there and everything. So in 1877, Tombstone was founded by Ed, I think this is pronounced Schieffelin? Sure. He was on a scouting mission against the local natives, which we don't love. But Ed would wander at night looking for gemstones, and his friends always told him it was dangerous and that the only stone he'd ever find while he was out looking was his tombstone.
Oh, that's a little ominous.
Well, he didn't find any stones, he did find silver.
Ooh.
And Ed named his very first mine Tombstone after the advice of his friends.
He found his tombstone.
He found his tombstone. Word quickly spread of the silver mines, and soon people flocked to the town that was then known as Goose Flats. The town was renamed Tombstone in 1879 for the first mine that had opened up. By the 1880s, the population increased to around 7,500, though this figure only reflects the white men that were registered to vote. So some numbers that included women, children, and people of other ethnicities estimate the population anywhere from 15 to 20,000 people.
Wow, even back then? Mm-hmm. That's impressive.
It was huge. So, Tombstone, this is a quote. Tombstone was home to more than 100 saloons, a multitude of eateries, a huge red light district, a large population of Chinese people, newspapers, churches, schools, and one of the original Arizona community swimming pools, which is still being used today. And I just want to take a little note on the Chinese people. I don't know how accurate this quote really is, or if that just meant generally Asian people. I think this was a much older quote, so I just want to throw that out there.
Okay.
So along the way, Tombstone had 2 great fires sweep the town within a year.
Oh.
In the 1880s. So the first was on June 22nd, 1881. The cause was a whiskey barrel ignited by a cigar at the Arcade Saloon. This fire destroyed about 60 downtown businesses, but the town rebuilt and grew more.
I mean, hey, when life gives you lemons, or in this case, a fire.
Apparently. The second was just under a year later, on May 26th, 1882. The fire started in the Tivoli Saloon in the restroom, and the damages were estimated at $500,000 in worth, which was about 3 times the cost of the first fire.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I've got some general hauntings here quick.
Ooh, okay.
Because obviously there was, between shootouts and fires and all sorts of stuff, there were a lot of deaths just in the town. So the first town marshal, Fred White, is said to roam the street near the spot he was shot by one of the local cowboy leaders. There's a man... Listen to this one. There's a man in a long black frock coat that's seen crossing the street, but he never makes it to the other side.
Just poof?
Yeah, he disappears halfway through walking across the street. Mm-hmm.
Gone.
There are, I hate this one. There are reports of the burned men and women who died in the fires haunting the streets.
No, thanks. I am okay. I don't need to see little children running around screaming for their lives because they're on fire.
Yeah. Or just the burned
that too. Oh.
person in general.
Man, that burned look.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There's a lady in white who has 2 possible stories. The first was that she was a mother who lost her child to yellow fever and then took her own life shortly after. And the second is that she was a brothel madam who was hanged and now continues to search the streets for her killers.
The latter would make a more interesting story, I would feel like. Looking for her killer? That sounds like a Hollywood movie right there.
Yeah.
I feel like they've done stuff like that before.
Probably.
I guess Medium was kind of like that. I don't know if you remember that show at all.
A little bit. And I know some of the places... Well, actually, the next place in particular I'm going to talk about, there's been many movies made off of, this place and some of the most, infamous events that have happened.
Okay.
So I delved into 2 famous places from there and kind of their hauntings and what they're famous for, why they're famous. So the first one is the OK Corral. It is a saloon that is the location of the infamous shootout, which happened on October 26, 1881. So you've probably heard of, the OK Corral shootout. It goes by a couple different names. But, yeah. So the shootout was between the Earp brothers, who were, the law and order, and the Clanton-McClory gang, which were the criminals that lived just outside of town, the cowboys. Both groups wanted control of Tombstone and the county that it was in. Around 3 p.m., after vowing revenge on the Earp brothers for pistol whipping McClory family and friends, 5 members of the McLaury Clanton gang were seen out back of the OK Corral by the Earps and their friend Doc Holliday. There's a lot of names in here, so I tried to, like, condense it as well as I could. All right, so get this. The gunfight between them lasted about 30 seconds, with about 30 rounds shot, and it's still debated who shot first.
It sounds like every man's life.
When it ended, 3 were dead, 3 were wounded, and 2 had just fucking taken off and run away.
Peace.
So an article written later that day in the Tombstone epitaph was titled, 3 men hurled into eternity in the duration of a moment. So then I went into the phrase of, like, what is this, like, into eternity thing?
Right.
Because it's, like, the same time period as the Kinnear murder and everything. So the phrase to send something into eternity is to kill it.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's just whatever word you want to put in front of into eternity to describe how wild it was. Or how vicious, violent, whatever.
Interesting.
So this week it's hurled into eternity.
Hurled into eternity.
Mm-hmm. So cowboy ghosts are seen around the saloon. Some wonder if it's those that died in the shootout. There's also a tall and lanky shadow with a wide-brimmed hat seen around. If that sounds familiar at all.
Sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the OK Corral. There's so much on the OK Corral that I did not cover nearly all of it. Just like I didn't cover nearly all of Tombstone.
I mean, from what you're saying and everything and how much information, it sounds like you could make an episode out of each one of those if you really wanted to.
Yeah. So the next place is going to be the Birdcage Theater. It was known as the roughest, bawdiest, and most wicked night spot between Basin Street and the Barbary Coast. And there have been 26 deaths in the building, and there are 140 bullet holes in the building.
To this day, even.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to see them all?
I mean, probably not all of them, but I saw a lot of them.
Damn.
There's, like, bullet holes in paintings, like...
Oh, it's kind of like there's this one, restaurant in St. Paul, near the St. Paul Caves.
No, it actually is the Wabasha Street Caves. I know that story, and I can tell that story, too.
Awesome. So, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell that story sometime.
Yeah, you better.
I do really...
It's one of my
I
favorites.
should do that soon. I really want to do the Wabasha Caves.
Maybe we should even go down there and, like, go grab a drink or something.
We should see if maybe we can ask some people some questions about ghosty stuff.
Yeah, I know there's usually one lady who, like, does, like, tours, and even at the end of the tour, she's like, if you have any other questions or anything, because I know I didn't cover everything, you can ask me.
Yeah.
So maybe we can, like, sneak into a group or something and then just pick her brain.
Yeah.
And if she's okay with, like, recording, because I'm not going to write everything down.
Yeah. So in its prime, it was a gambling parlor, brothel, saloon, and theater. Mm-hmm. This place is so fucking haunted.
I mean, for how much shit's happened in there so far, I don't doubt it.
So I've got a list of some stuff that I found online, but then I'm gonna talk about some of my stories and some of the stuff I remember from there. Visitors and staff have seen cowboys and sometimes ladies roaming around. Many people randomly catch the smell of whiskey, cigars, or perfume. Laughter and piano playing can be heard when the building is empty, as well as movement in the on the old wooden floors. Some workers report seeing stagehands setting up for a show. There is a lady in white, as well as the ghosts of popular madams that entertained in the theater. There are residual hauntings, but there seems to be plenty of intelligent hauntings too. So, some of the intelligent hauntings. So they have the boxes upstairs where the ladies entertained the gentlemen. And there's 2 boxes that they weren't entirely sure. They were like the regular boxes that these like popular guys or like regulars, big names in the town would come to. And they weren't entirely sure which belonged to which, but they set up like mannequins up there in each box dressed like its respective person.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, I believe it was like every single night, they'd make sure everything was in order before they left. And when they come in the morning, I think it was the hats were either switched on the guys or they were on the floor in front of the boxes, like down on the first floor, and switched in front of. And so they finally switched the mannequins. Mm-hmm. It never happened again. The ghosts were trying to tell them, like, no, we need to be in our actual boxes. Like,
what the fuck? I don't know if that's just creepy or just like, oh, I didn't listen the first time. Mm-hmm. Like, that's very intelligent.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of, like, an intelligent haunt, like, like that before.
Yeah.
That's why I'm having a hard time. Like, is that really, really cool? It's cool, but I'm like, but is that creepy though at the same time?
Mm-hmm. It's both.
But I love it at the same, like that. That'd be really cool to even just witness, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. And then another story that stuck with me was they have this old, like, billiards table.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking huge. And so they have it kind of in the middle of, like, the first area that you walk around. There's, like, kind of a middle area with, like, a bunch of furniture and artifacts and stuff. So they have it there. One morning, one of the people who worked there came in and they tried to open the door that goes from the front of the building where, like, the bar and the stairs to go upstairs were. Mm-hmm. There's a door to the back, which is then, like, the theater and, like, the gambling and all of that.
Got it, okay.
She tried to open that door that goes to the back, and it would not budge.
Oh.
Like, nothing she could do would, like, get this open. And she had to call for help. She had to call for somebody to come get the keys, because I think the keys for the back door of the building were different than, like, all the other keys.
Okay.
And she didn't have those ones. Somebody finally gets there. They get in through the back, and this billiards table that took, like, 7 men to put in place where it should be was slid across the floor and up against the door.
No thanks.
Right.
It's, one would say, like, oh, just a bunch of people moved it, but if it's supposed to be in this one spot, why would you move it ever
and
again?
Also, like, who's sneaking in with 7 people in the middle of the
Right.
night just to move a billiards table?
And those professional billiards
Like,
table
that's
from
not-
then or now,
It's not even worth the prank at that point.
no, like, a prank that you might not be even around for to witness, like, it's kind of a shitty prank, so one can only assume that, yeah, that's a very intelligent haunting right there.
And then if I remember correctly, there was also, like, they used a big rock to keep that back door propped open during business hours, but sometimes during tours, like, the rock would be moved across the floor or, like, slid across the floor and the door would slam shut.
It was the wind.
It's just the wind.
The wind moved the rock.
Absolutely.
That's logical, right?
Definitely. Let's see here. There was a ghost dog. When you do,
Ghost
like,
doggo?
the like, blackout, like, nighttime ghost tours, and they sit you down with, like, they're not EVPs, they're just, like, the electromagnetic, like, sensors and everything. They also have a little dog toy to see if the dog will come out. And I definitely heard him, like, running across the floor while I was there. I had the toy the whole time, and I was like, buddy, come out and play. Come here. I just want to see you.
In the distance, all you hear is the dog's tail just...
I heard his little claws, like, scratch across the floor like he was running. I also actually have a video of orbs from, like, the downstairs gambling area and everything.
And you've never shown me this?
I am nearly positive I've showed it to you.
Probably. I mean, that was a long time ago when you did that
I'll have to
anyways.
find it. It's definitely deep in the camera roll at this point, but...
Yeah. Because when did you do that? That was like 6-7 years ago now? Maybe not that long.
Yeah.
No.
It was like...
Because you got that, like, right when you turned 21, didn't you? Or the tattoo, no, like, right when you, like, turned 20.
Something like that. Yeah, I think it was in, like, 2016 when I was down there.
Yeah, that would make sense then.
2016, 2017. So.
Yeah.
Visiting Tombstone. Main Street is blocked off to motorized vehicles, keeping it foot traffic only with the occasional horse.
I like that. Kind of like Mackinac Island.
Mm-hmm. There are many tours that go on throughout the town. You can do ghost tours, history and legend tours, tours of specific places like the Birdcage Theater, or I think there's tours of the, what is it called? I think it's called the Boot Hill Graveyard.
Ooh.
Like, there's just tours everywhere. You think of it, they probably have it. There are plenty of shops in Tombstone where you can buy period-correct clothing and jewelry, antiques and souvenirs, and just shop local businesses in general. And there are also reenactments of shootouts throughout the town, because there was a lot of honky-tonk homicides, like I said. And so, of course, I had to look at gift shops.
Of course.
So the OK Corral didn't have an online gift shop, but the Birdcage Theater did. And it was, like, a very limited one. Because when I was at the Birdcage Theater, that's where I got the Whiskey Jack poster that I have, and the A Toast to Your Coffin. I'm blanking on the artist's name, but that's where I found those prints. And
see, I always thought you just got those prints off like Amazon or found them at Target or something.
No, I originally discovered the artist at the Birdcage Theater when I got those prints, and then I have a bunch of her prints like just waiting to order from Etsy.
I mean, those prints, that makes those prints even cooler now.
Yeah.
I mean, those are cool prints, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Target would do something like that.
Target.
Oh, now you're telling me that it's a person. Mm-hmm. And I love that even more. You should send me that Etsy.
Yes, I will.
Sweet.
But some of my favorites in the Birdcage Theater online shop currently were the Pocket Watch, the Tombstone Marshall Badge, and the Stinking Badge.
The Stinking Badge?
Yep, and okay. I had to look up what a Stinking Badge is.
Wait, is it stinking or stinkin'?
Well, they call it a Stinking Badge, but it's referred to usually as a Stinkin' Badge.
Stinkin' Badge. Okay.
So Stinkin' Badges is a paraphrase of a line of dialogue from the 1948 film The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. The quote is, "Badges, we ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinkin' badges."
I feel like I've heard that. I've heard that somewhere. I don't know
probably.
where, but...
You might have seen the movie. Like, it sounds like a movie that my dad would probably have on.
Honestly, now that you say your dad, I feel like I've heard your dad say that many a time.
Probably. So that's what a stinking badge is. It's a reference to that movie and that line.
Stinking badge. Okay.
So, yeah, that is Tombstone, Arizona.
Sounds like I need to go visit Tombstone, Arizona.
Honestly, I would love to go back to Tombstone. It was super rad.
We should plan something for next summer or something. Or maybe this winter. You know what? This winter we should probably do something.
Honestly, yeah, because it'll be warm down there.
I've never been anywhere in the wintertime. Like, I've never gone down south in the winter. I don't know what that's like. So I would love to do that this winter.
Oh, yeah. If I can swing it, we definitely should.
You can swing it. If not, I know where my solo trip's going to be. Because I've tried to get the solo trip to Colorado.
There's a lot of cool and interesting stuff in Arizona. Yeah. All sorts of ghost towns, lots of history.
I definitely wish I would have grown up there sometimes, but I'm glad I grew up here.
I think people really think Minnesota is underrated and that growing up in Minnesota is underrated, but it is such a beautiful place. And I'm very thankful to have grown up here personally. So
the seasons, definitely.
It's the fact that we get 4 distinct seasons. Usually, spring's
a hit or miss.
Yeah,
man.
Spring is hit or miss, but we see the colors change.
Yeah, we at least get summer to fall to winter at least.
Yeah, at the very least.
And I mean, fall is much more superior than spring.
Absolutely, especially up here.
Until the seasonal depression kicks in.
It stays cool just long enough that we keep the colors through most of October and everything, and into November, depending on when the first snow comes. But
right, it is beautiful. Like, we get fall colors for a long time.
That's why I love driving up to Duluth in the North Shore in fall, because you watch, especially in the beginning of the season, you watch the colors slowly change as you work your way up there, because they come sooner and they stay so much longer up north. So
I need to take a weekend off or a day off and just in October and do that. I've never done that either. I'm ashamed of myself.
You absolutely need to do that. All right. Well, tell me your stories. Stories?
So they're small quick stories.
Okay.
So what I think
I definitely had it all mixed up in the beginning, because I thought the one story was this part, and that you were telling. Okay.
No.
Got it.
Yeah, they're like 5 stories. So I'll just go through, read it, and then we'll kind of discuss it, because I feel like So I've also named these 2.
You've named them?
I've named them. The first one is named Holy Cow.
Holy cow.
So one day in a southeastern town of Brazil, a man by the name of, hope I'm saying this right, Suaz, was lying down in bed with his wife trying to take a nap, when all of a sudden a cow falls through the ceiling, landing on him and narrowly missing his wife.
Holy cow.
He was under the cow for quite a bit. No time could be recollected by it before the medics could arrive.
What are the medics going to do? Lift the cow off?
Literally, they lifted the cow off, and then they took him to the hospital. And he seemed like he was in really good spirits, and he was going to be fine. But a day later, he died due to massive internal bleeding. Shocker.
So what floor are they on?
So I'm gonna get to that here.
Okay.
Because this isn't the first time that someone has been killed by a falling cow in Brazil. They usually build their homes near smaller cliffs or big hills, and it kind of is in the terrain of where their farm is. So the cows will just be grazing, doing their thing,
and
then
walk off a cliff.
They literally just walk off a cliff and down into a house. There have been so many reports of cows just falling into people's homes.
Can you imagine?
Just eating breakfast or trying to sleep.
It's not even a small thing either. Like, that is...
This is a full-grown cow.
Yeah, that might as well just be a wrecking ball.
So the next one is called What a Way to Go. Mayor Monica Meyer of the town Betterton, Maryland, she made a vow to always get up and close and personal with all the services that keep the town running. So she'd literally just go to, like, the electric, wherever the electric, like the utilities of the town.
Yeah.
And so she could always know what's going on. And she would actually help out with some of these services too. Mm-hmm. This is where it takes a turn for the worst.
Okay.
So one service she frequented most was the sewage treatment plant in the city. She would help out and assist, and she would usually help out with cleaning the tanks from time to time. Maybe it was because there was the most grotesque job in the city, but Monica didn't really care in the slightest. She would even go alone occasionally. And on this instance, on March 20th, 1980, she was cleaning one of the tanks alone, and while tending to another tank, she fell in and ultimately drowned in human waste. One of the workers said to fall in one of those tanks is like falling into a putty of quicksand that you are never getting out of. She was found floating face down in the waste. She was also found with testing materials as well for the waste. Police speculate she was testing the waste, slipped in, and fell. Could you imagine drowning in human waste?
No, I don't want to. That is awful. That is awful.
It's got to be the most awful way to go. Ugh. Ugh. All right, so the next one I've titled, He Gone.
He gone.
Gary Hoy was a lawyer for a law firm in Holden Day Wilson in Canada. And from time to time, he would give tours for newly graduated law students of their law firm, and would like to demonstrate the structural strength of the windows in the building. He would do this by running full speed at the window and, as the kids would say, yeet his entire body into the glass. He had performed this stunt many, many times and bounced off the glass with no issue. But on July 9th, 1993, Gary was showing new grads around the firm on the 24th floor, and he did his glass stunt yet again. He did the stunt with ease, no issues, and he wanted to do it again. So he ran full speed, the students laughing at his stunt because he just did it. Nothing hurt him. He's fine. That is until he went through the window and plummeted to his death. During the investigation, it was found the glass didn't break until it hit the ground, and the whole window and frame came out.
Oh my God.
A structural engineer even made a comment on the incident saying, "I don't know of any building code that would allow a 160-pound man to run full speed against the glass and not being able to withstand it."
No, because that's not...
It's not what windows are intended for.
This was just... He was just doing his own thing. Okay. Sorry, man. Like...
I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. The next story I've titled, Nice Beard. Hans Steininger was a very popular mayor in, I'm going to butcher these names so bad, Braunau, Austria, I think is how you pronounce it. And at the time, he served many terms due to his popularity and becoming very famous for having the world's longest beard back in the 1500s. It was about 1.5 meters long, or 4.5 feet.
Okay.
Hans would often roll his beard up and put it in his pockets to keep his beard from getting in the way. Naturally.
I mean, yeah, obviously. What else are you supposed to do?
Right? One day, a fire broke out in the mayor's office building. In the midst of the chaos and making sure everyone got out safe, Hans forgot to put his beard back in his pockets and tripped on his beard at the top of the stairs, causing him to fall all the way down the stairs and breaking his neck in the process.
That's a long-ass beard. I thought the beard was going to start on fire.
Nope. After the initial investigation of his death, the town agreed to honor Hans by keeping his beard and putting it on display.
Just the beard.
And citizens quote back then and to this day that it is an important heirloom of the town. You can still see this killer of a beard at the district museum in the town in Austria. And bonus fact of this town was the birthplace of Adolf Hitler. I found that out while researching that story.
Huh. Okay.
Could you imagine, though?
No, I can't. And then they just kept it? The fact that it was intact after a fire? Like, the fact that it didn't start on fire, period.
Right.
I thought that was going to be a key plot point.
Nope. He literally tripped on his beard, fell down the stairs, and broke his neck.
All because he forgot to put his beard back in his pockets.
Yep. Fifth and final story, I've titled Sharp Death. In 1982, near Mount Pleasant, Arizona, Dave Grundman decided to travel out to the Sonoran Desert. Is it Sonoran or Sonoran?
How is it spelled?
Sonoran. Sonoran?
Yeah, there's no other N in there.
Okay, so Sonoran Desert. And a thing that kept popping up was no one knew exactly why he went out there. It was just something that family and friends said. Once he got to his destination in the desert, he started shooting cactuses with the shotgun he brought, because why not?
Because why not?
He started off with little small ones towards the ground until he found this big, 26-foot tall cactus. Being that tall would suggest the cactus was about around 100 years old. So, a little plant fact for you.
Exactly where this is going. Was it one of the,
basically those kind of cactuses,
okay.
Yeah.
For anybody, well, not that anybody can see, I just did the classic cactus, like the cowboy cactus.
So, yeah, think of it like a Looney Tune classic cartoon.
Yeah, I just did the shape with my body to ask. A fun fact about those cacti. So when the arms grow up, it's because the arms grew during warm season, but when they grow pointing down, it's because they grew during a frost.
I did not know that.
Yeah, our cousin taught us that when I was in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
And those cactuses fall on people all the time.
And I do have there's another fact here about these cactuses are called saguaro cactus, I think is how you pronounce that. And they are federally protected and come with a huge fine if they are vandalized in any way. And this is only because they grow only in the Sonoran Desert. They don't grow anywhere else in the world. Mm-hmm. So David shot off a few rounds to the cactus. While he was having fun, he was crushed by one of the massive arms or pads, whatever you want to call it, landed right on top of them. And strangely, it was as big as David was, and he wasn't a small man at all. He was a very large man.
Oh, I thought the whole fucking thing was going to just tip over.
Nope.
Because that's how most people die. They go to take a picture with them or something, and those things, they don't root deep into the ground. They're basically just sitting on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, they'll just tip over.
No, basically, he was shooting his shotgun at this cactus, and the vibration made one of the arms just fall right on him.
He obviously was not far from this cactus.
Well, I mean, it's a shotgun. You can't be too far away, usually.
I guess, but...
I mean, because if you're far away, you're only going to see little BBs in it. If you're up close, you're going to see... I'm guessing that's why he wanted to do it, was to just blow things away. He's probably drunk, but... it was very hard for David to call for help. Mainly because he was out in the middle of the desert. There was no one around. And, two, he was also found impaled by the cactus spikes through his lungs.
Yep.
Making it hard for him...
Those motherfuckers are huge.
They are. They're really huge. I had to look at them like, fuck.
They're dense. They're strong.
And with those spikes, it made it hard for him to call out with the spikes in his chest and all that weight on his lungs. As I see this, again, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
So
spiky death.
It's very spiky. Yeah, see? Spike death. Mm-hmm. Sharp death. Sorry.
Sharp death.
I called it a sharp death.
Spiky death.
I mean, with those, I hope those did, hopefully...
Those were good.
Right? Like, bizarre death, like...
Yeah,
I was like, I wanted to do something a little more fun, but still had some morbid curiosity to it.
Yeah, those were fun.
I was like, these
unfortunate for sure.
Very unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like
they were interesting for sure.
A lot of them is just like wrong place, wrong time. That's the unfortunately, it's like the mayor. Wrong place, wrong time, probably. The dude in Brazil with the cow.
Yeah, I was going to say the cow, wrong place, wrong time.
For very much so.
Both the cow and the farmer.
The guy who yeeted himself into the glass, he was just an idiot, I think.
I feel like I can just, like, picture exactly the type of guy he was. And I feel like he was genuinely a very, like, wholesome, just goofy guy. And this was his party trick at work.
I can see that, too. I feel like a bit of both played into it. Like, yeah, the party trick, because he did say that he did this many, many, many times before.
Yep.
But I feel like at the same time, I'm like, I feel like kind of stupid to do that.
Was he doing it to that same window on the 24th floor every time?
You know, it never said if he did it to multiple windows or just that one, but where his death happened to take place on the 24th floor.
Because if he's doing it to the same one over time, like, yeah, that's gonna... It's gonna do something.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe that is it because that's where his office is or something. I do not know. But at the same time, I'm just like, probably shouldn't. And the whole beard thing, I don't know.
Well, I guess if we ever find ourselves in Austria, we have a beard to go visit.
What's your cemetery fun fact today?
Collecting epitaphs from tombstones is unlucky and will result in losing your memory. Yes.
I don't want to come off stupid, but what's an epitaph? Epitaph. I've never heard this before, actually.
I'm going to look up the actual definition because I'm never good at actually giving definitions. A phrase or form of words written in memory of a person who has died, especially as an inscription on a tombstone.
So people are stealing tombstones? Or are they stealing the words off the tombstone?
I think they're stealing the words off of tombstones, maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but why would you want to go and do that?
Like, I don't know.
I'm like, I understand grave robbing. Like, I get it.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not saying they're right,
I don't know if
it.
they're even physically taking it off of the tombstone. Maybe they're... I don't know. Because sometimes people will put, like maybe, like, personally written poems. I know, like, recipes is a thing that will be on tombstones sometimes. Like, sometimes it'll be something that the person left behind for their tombstone.
Okay.
Something like that.
Got it. Okay.
I'd love the idea of putting a recipe on a tombstone.
Yeah, like a recipe you're, like, that you are famous...
That's what, like, a lot of, like...
Apple pie dumplings. Apple pie dumplings.
Is that the recipe that's going to go on my tombstone?
It's going to go on your tombstone. Your apple pie... Oh, my God. Guys, you don't understand. Hannah's apple pie dumplings are the best. She brings them almost all the time to, like, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And she even got them on the menu at a restaurant she works at. I'm not going to name the restaurant because we don't want you to know where she works. But
did I?
You did.
No, that was a different recipe that we did on a lunch special.
It was the apple pie dumplings, wasn't it?
I brought the apple pie dumplings to work.
But they didn't put it on the... I thought they put that one on the menu for like a weekend.
No.
What was it then?
It was the Italian mac and cheese that was on the lunch special menu one week.
Your Italian mac and cheese? I swore... Or they were wanting to... Or you were in talks of getting that on like a dessert menu,
I think I was trying to because like I told them they're pretty easy to prep.
Super easy and delicious. I'm cleaning my plate like it's the last meal on earth half the time. And your dad's doing the same thing. Literally.
Everybody's going back for seconds.
Oh my God.
You got to get it with the vanilla bean ice cream.
Have to.
And or my homemade whipped cream.
Hannah is... She's diabetic, but she knows her sweets very well.
I wasn't always diabetic.
It's true. It's more of a recent thing. But Hannah, sweets, I always thought Hannah should open up her own bakery.
Maybe someday. But yeah, so I think that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, we should probably say our goodbyes.
Doing our thing where we're talking too much again. It'll probably get cut out.
That's fine. We're good.
We're good. All right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us on episode 14.
We do have some things to discuss after this.
Yes.
But
so we're going to go discuss those things, and it's going to be so much fun. And then we'll see you guys next week.
And we'll see you guys next week for episode 15.
Bye.
Bye.
The Bleeding Grave is hosted by Hannah Slavic and Austin Wenger.
Music by Hannah Slavic.
You can find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
You can listen to The Bleeding Grave on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more.